The United States of America, a nation that has shaped the course of modern history. From breathtaking scientific achievements to global influence, its story has inspired millions around the world. But long before towering skyscrapers reached the clouds, before the stars and stripes became a symbol of freedom, this land held a very different history. To understand the America of today, we must travel back thousands of years to a time when vast forests, mighty rivers, and ancient civilizations covered this remarkable continent.
Thousands of years before the first European ships appeared on the horizon, North America was already home to countless indigenous communities. They lived in harmony with nature, following the rhythms of the seasons, hunting vast herds of bison, fishing in mighty rivers, and building rich cultures that would endure for generations. This was a land of extraordinary beauty, where every mountain, river, and forest held deep spiritual meaning.
Over thousands of years, these first settlers spread across the continent. They adapted to every landscape, developed unique cultures, and laid the foundations of the civilizations that would flourish long before written history reached these shores.
Sad. During the last ice age, sea levels dropped dramatically, revealing a vast land bridge known as Beringia. It connected Asia and North America, creating a pathway unlike anything the world has seen since. Following migrating animals in search of food, small groups of hunters and their families began an incredible journey into an unknown land. Without realizing it, they were becoming the first people to enter North America. These early travelers shared this harsh world with giant Ice Age animals, woolly mammoths, enormous bison, and powerful predators that no longer roam the earth. Before them lay a continent unlike anything they had ever known, a land of endless forests, mighty rivers, towering mountains, and opportunities that would shape the future of humanity. Over thousands of years, these first settlers spread across the continent.
The corn is our sister.
They adapted to every landscape, developed unique cultures, and laid the foundations of the civilizations that would flourish long before written history reached these shores.
We honor the sacred smoke and the rising sun. Let us
Over
ask for
thousands
peace
of
and
years,
strength for
indigenous
all living
peoples
things.
spread across North America. They built thriving
Enjoy your
communities,
purchase.
Thank you
each
so much.
uniquely adapted to its environment, creating cultures that were as diverse as the land itself. Many communities became skilled farmers, cultivating corn, beans, and squash known today as the Three Sisters. These crops sustained growing populations and supported prosperous villages. Trade routes stretched across the continent. Communities exchanged valuable goods, ideas, and traditions,
The light of a new day is upon us.
connecting distant regions long before European explorers arrived. For many indigenous nations, the natural world was sacred. Mountains, rivers, forests, and animals were deeply respected, forming an essential part of their spiritual beliefs and daily lives. For countless generations, these civilizations flourished. But beyond the horizon, unfamiliar sails were approaching, bringing encounters that would forever change the history of this continent.
Load those final crates onto the main hold now!
This chart guides us to the Indies. We must trust the winds.
By the late 15th century, European kingdoms were searching for new trade routes, valuable resources, and opportunities beyond the known world. Advances in navigation made longer ocean voyages possible. In 1492, the Italian navigator Christopher Columbus, sailing under the Spanish crown, set out across the Atlantic Ocean, hoping to find a western sea route to Asia. For weeks, the expedition crossed an endless ocean. The crew faced uncertainty, changing weather, and the fear of venturing into waters few Europeans had ever sailed. In October 1492, the expedition reached islands in the Caribbean. Although Columbus believed he had found a route to Asia, his voyage opened a new chapter in world history.
For centuries, the vast ocean remained a mystery. But soon, glowing trails of gold would bridge two worlds.
The voyage of 1492 did not reach the future United States, but it sparked an era of exploration. In the decades ahead, explorers from Spain, France, England, and other European nations would turn their attention to the vast lands of North America.
In 1513, rumors of gold led them into the unknown. They claimed a vast new world for the Spanish crown.
News of newly encountered lands spread quickly across Europe. Powerful kingdoms realized that whoever controlled these distant territories could gain wealth, influence, and strategic power.
Put your backs into it, men!
Spanish expeditions explored the southern regions of North America, searching for wealth, new territories, and opportunities to establish permanent settlements.
Welcome, my friends. We have much to discuss. The winter was long, but the furs are good.
French explorers traveled deep into the continent's rivers and forests, building trading relationships that became the foundation of a thriving fur trade. Across the Atlantic coast, English settlers began establishing colonies that would eventually grow into the foundation of what became the United States. As exploration continued, North America became a place where diverse indigenous nations and European newcomers increasingly interacted, traded, cooperated, and sometimes came into conflict.
A vast continent where diverse cultures begin to share the land, mapping a new era of coexistence. Chapter 1: Before America, the First Nations and the land they called home.
Towering mountains, endless forests, mighty rivers, and fertile plains supported an extraordinary diversity of life. The continent teemed with wildlife. Vast herds of bison thundered across the plains, while forests echoed with the calls of wolves, birds, and countless other animals.
This is the beating heart of the wild, where life flows through ancient rhythms, and every creature plays its part.
Across this immense continent lived hundreds of indigenous nations, each adapted to its own environment.
Remember, the forest provides for us all. Look to the sky. Remember the earth beneath your feet. The Great Spirit guides us from above.
Good morning! Welcome to our village.
Daily life was built around family, community, and cooperation. Knowledge was passed from one generation to the next, developing unique languages, traditions, homes, and ways of life.
For millennia, hundreds of nations thrived across this vast continent. They lived in perfect harmony with the rising sun.
Through stories, observation, and experience. For many indigenous peoples, the natural world was more than a resource. It was a teacher, a provider, and a sacred part of life deserving respect and care. From coast to coast, these nations shaped the land and were shaped by it. Their histories began thousands of years before the arrival of European explorers.
Across North America, every landscape inspired a different way of life. Homes were carefully designed to match the climate, available resources, and traditions of each nation. In the forests of the East, many communities built spacious longhouses. Several families could live together under one roof, strengthening family ties and cooperation. On the Great Plains, portable teepees allowed communities to move with the seasons and follow migrating bison, an essential source of food, clothing, and shelter. In the dry Southwest, adobe pueblos provided cool shelter from the heat. Built from earth and stone, many of these remarkable structures still stand today. Along the Pacific coast, massive cedar trees became strong wooden homes. In the far north, Arctic communities developed shelters perfectly suited to life in one of Earth's harshest climates. Though their homes looked different, these nations were connected by shared values of family, knowledge, and respect for the land. Their communities would soon be linked by networks of trade stretching across the continent.
Long before modern roads and railways, indigenous nations created vast trade networks. Rivers, forests, and mountain passes became highways connecting communities across the continent. Waterways served as natural highways. Skilled canoe builders and navigators carried valuable goods over hundreds of miles, linking distant nations. Trade brought more than valuable materials. It encouraged cooperation, strengthened relationships, and allowed knowledge and traditions to spread between neighboring communities.
It is so wonderful to see you today.
Generations of artisans perfected their skills. Every tool, basket, weapon, and piece of pottery reflected both practical knowledge and artistic tradition. Ideas traveled alongside trade. Stories, songs, farming techniques, and cultural traditions spread across North America, enriching communities far beyond their place of origin. Across forests, plains, rivers, and deserts, these connections created a thriving network of nations. Their achievements remind us that North America was already rich with history, long before European settlement.
Long before modern farming methods, indigenous nations cultivated the land with remarkable knowledge. Their fields provided reliable harvests while protecting the health of the soil. Corn provided a natural support for climbing beans. Beans helped enrich the soil, while squash spread across the ground, helping retain moisture and reduce weeds. Together, these crops formed a sustainable farming system. Farming was a shared responsibility. Families worked together throughout the seasons, passing agricultural knowledge from one generation to the next. The harvest nourished entire communities. Food was carefully prepared, shared among families, and preserved to help sustain people through the colder months. For many communities, a successful harvest was more than a source of food. It was a reminder of the relationship between people, the land, and the natural cycles that sustained life. Strong harvests supported growing communities, allowing cultures to flourish. Soon, these nations would develop traditions, ceremonies, and systems of leadership that reflected the richness of their societies.
Across North America, many indigenous nations governed themselves through councils of respected leaders and elders. Important decisions were often reached through discussion, experience, and the wisdom of the community. History, values, and knowledge were preserved through oral traditions. Stories carried the memory of ancestors and taught lessons that guided future generations. Art reflected identity, creativity, and tradition. Every basket, carving, garment, and clay vessel carried generations of knowledge and cultural meaning.
Music, dance, and ceremonies brought communities together. These gatherings celebrated important moments, honored traditions, and strengthened the bonds between generations. Many indigenous traditions emphasized gratitude and respect for the natural world. The land, water, plants, and animals were deeply valued as part of life's interconnected balance. For centuries, these cultures flourished across the continent. But beyond the horizon, new arrivals were approaching, bringing encounters that would reshape the future of North America.